Hello everyone, welcome to Options with Doug, streaming live daily on Bookmap Discord and the Bookmap YouTube channel at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Before I get started, I need to go through the disclosures. General disclosure: all Bookmap limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure: trading futures, equities, and options involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. As a reminder, the focus of my presentation is options, order flow, the impact of options markets on stocks and futures, and the influence of market maker hedging flow on price action. I have a two-step process for trading, and the first is planning, and I use positional analysis, and I look at how traders and market makers are positioned in the options market and how those positions change from day to day to help develop a thesis regarding expected volatility and trading range for the day, as well as a directional bias. And the second step in my process is execution. And I look at real-time order flow in Bookmap and real-time market maker hedging flow in Spotgamma Hero to confirm my thesis and for setups for entries and exits. I think this is a new way of looking at the market that provides a significant edge. And questions and comments are welcome. And I will be watching the Options with Doug chat channel and Discord, as well as the chat and YouTube for questions and comments. So again, your questions and comments are welcome. All right, let's get started. So today I want to talk about news items, economic data, events, and earnings. And there was a discussion in Discord yesterday about whether stocks or options were driving the market. And I just want to talk about that briefly. And then we'll go through our positional analysis. And if we have time, we'll talk about setups. And remember, the FOMC announcement is at 2 p.m. So we'll watch the ES futures at that time. Okay, so first of all, news. Actually, let's go here. News, economic data. There was some economic data that came out this morning. This ADP report. I think that comes out at after 8:15 a.m., something like that. There's the ADP report. That's kind of a precursor to the employment situation report on Friday. And the next was the U.S. manufacturing PMI at 9:45 a.m. Eastern Time, and it came in about as expected, just slightly better, but still less than 50, so still in the range of contraction. And then at 10 a.m. there was more ISM manufacturing PMI that came in a little bit worse than expected, still less than 50, so still showing contraction. So that is the data that came out this morning. And then just as a reminder, tomorrow on Friday is the employment situation report. Again, the FOMC this afternoon, we'll take a look at that. And then earnings, AMD reported yesterday and was strong this morning. Meta reports this afternoon. And then tomorrow is the big day. Apple, Amazon, and Google all report after the close tomorrow afternoon, Thursday afternoon. Okay, regarding the Fed, let's take a look and see what traders are expecting ahead of the announcement. So it really has not changed. And the current The Fed funds target rate current is 425 to 450, and their traders are pricing in a 98.4% chance of a 25-point basis hike to 450 to 475. So that's what traders are expecting. Okay, so that's the news. Again, we're going to go over the volume, positional analysis, and setups. Okay, let's take a look now at something that I posted in Discord this morning. Let me bring this up. And again, there was a discussion about stocks versus options driving the market. And this is option stats for SPY from Thinkorswim for yesterday. And the thing that I'm focusing on is this total volume. So this is the total volume of contracts, SPY contracts that traded yesterday. So that's about 7.69 million. And remember, each contract represents 100 shares. So doing the math here, that comes out to 769 million shares. And if let's make a conservative assumption that those options traded at a 0.5 delta. So that would have the effect of cutting this in half. And that would still be 384.5 million shares. And the volume of SPY shares that traded yesterday was about 86 million. So I guess you do the math. And this is one reason, one of many reasons why I believe that options are a key driver of price action in many stocks and futures. Okay, let's go through our positional analysis now. And let's go to Bookmap. And the first thing that I want to take a look at is a bigger picture view. And this is the SPX. And this is in Thinkorswim, showing the key levels from Spotgamma. So here's the put wall at 3,800 below. Then the call wall at 4,100. And here's the 4,000 level. That's the absolute gamma strike. So the put wall is the strike with the largest net negative gamma, and that can be expected to act as support. And the call wall is the strike with the largest net positive gamma, and that can be expected to act as resistance. And then the 4,000 level, again, that's the absolute gamma strike, and that's the strike with the largest absolute gamma. So we can see here that there really has not been a lot of movement today in SPX, and that'll change in about 20 minutes when the announcement comes out. So right now the levels immediately below of this are the 40-50 level. That's an L2 level, meaning it's the highest would be, most important level would be an L1, level 1 gamma level. So 40-50 is an L2 level, and then there's the call wall, the L1 level, and the combo L1 level above. So that's a bigger picture view. That's a 1 hour chart. And let's take a look now at a 1 minute chart. One reason I'm looking at this is just because of the clarity. It's just showing price and levels. So again, so far today, this 40-50 level has acted as support, and there's some overhead before the 4100 level. And one other thing to note are these two pivot levels. This is what excuse me, these levels were noted in the AM Founders Note as a pivot level. And before one thing I want to clarify what I'm looking at on the chart here. This is Spotgamma Cloud Notes, and these notes are provided to Spotgamma subscribers. They're updated automatically every day, and they primarily are showing SPX levels converted to an equivalent ES level. So right now, Spotgamma is using a 15-point difference. So they're adding 15 points to the SPX level to come up with an equivalent ES level. And the last time I looked, it was a little bit less, but 15 is close enough. And then this is my Cloud Notes level, and here I'm showing the levels that are in play right now are these pivot levels. These were indicated in the again in the Spotgamma AM Founders Note, and I'll show you why they were why I think they were noted that way. So let's take a look at this is the Spotgamma Equity Hub, and this is a composite view chart. And this chart can be a little bit difficult to interpret. And what it's showing is this Spotgamma momentum indicator, that is the vertical axis with price on the right, and the red area indicates an area of put dominance, negative gamma. That's the market maker's gamma notional, negative gamma, so below 4,000, and positive gamma or call dominated gamma above 4,000. And let me just hover over here, and I think this is where this pivot level comes from. So right here is 4065, and there's 450. And the thing to note here is this SG momentum indicator. It's showing a shift in gamma, and this can be equated to a shift in volatility. So the thing here to note here is as price moves below this pivot area, volatility can be expected to increase, and that would be market makers hedging activity as well, so driving that higher. So I think that's where that comes from this morning. Okay, so those are the levels that are in play. Let's go back to Bookmap. Those are the levels in play, and we'll talk about setups in just a few minutes. And let's take a quick look at the S&P 500 gamma charts. And these are the absolute gamma charts. This is for the S&P 500. And there were no shifts in the key levels overnight. Other than the volatility trigger, there were slight shifts in the volatility triggers for SPX and SPY. So the SPX volatility trigger shifted down from 40.25 to 40.20, and the SPY volatility trigger shifted down from 403 to 402. So minor shift in the volatility trigger, otherwise no shifts in the put wall, call wall, or key gamma strike for SPX, SPY, and QQQ. So the levels, and we already saw this on the larger time frame SPX chart. Here's the 3,800 put wall, again the strike with the largest net negative gamma. The 4,000, and that's the absolute gamma strike, the strike, and that's very obvious, the strike with the largest absolute gamma. And there's the 40-50 level that's been in play today. And then there's the 4,100 level, the strike, the call wall, the strike with the largest net positive gamma. So that's the SPX. SPY. There's the 400 key gamma strike or absolute gamma strike. And the thing to notice here is all of the put gamma, and that's shown below this zero line. That's put gamma or negative gamma shown with the teal bars, and the call gamma above. And those are shown, that's shown by the black bars, that's positive gamma. So notice again, there's the 400 level. 390 is the put wall. And 410 is pretty obviously the call wall. And notice there has been some build in call gamma at the 420 level. So a lot of positive call gamma above 400 and negative put gamma below 400. Let's take a look at the NASDAQ charts. So this is for QQQ. Here's the 280 put wall. The 290 key gamma strike. And then the 300 call wall. All right, let's take a look at data. Whoops. Here's what I want. So let's take a look at data, and this is gamma notional. This is market makers' position on the gamma curve, and the left column is SPX, and that for all of these that they have shifted. Gamma notional has shifted to more positive or less negative. So yesterday, gamma notional for SPX was minus 101, and today it's positive 331. Yesterday, SPY gamma notional was minus 1137, and today it is minus 497. And yesterday, for QQQ, gamma notional was minus 275. And today it's minus 84. So slightly positive for SPX, still negative for SPY, and pretty much neutral for QQQ. So what this means is I take this as fairly neutral. In a negative gamma environment, market makers have to hedge with price action to hedge their delta exposure. So that's negative gamma. And a positive gamma, market makers have to sell futures as price increases to hedge their delta exposure. So in a positive gamma environment, they are trading against price, and in a negative gamma environment, they are trading with price to hedge their delta exposure. So in a negative gamma environment, you expect more volatility. In a positive gamma environment, you expect less volatility. All right, let's take a look at the Vanna models, which illustrate this graphically. So here's SPX, and this slope up from left to right is typical for a positive gamma environment. Again, this is showing market makers' delta exposure will increase as price increases. So they will have to sell futures to hedge their delta exposure as price increases. And the green line is showing the current expiration, and that is also showing how market makers' delta notional changes with changes in implied volatility, and that's the Vanna effect. And Vanna is the change in delta with a change in implied volatility. And the black line is showing how market makers' delta notional changes would change as time passes, and that's the delta effect, charm effect. And charm is the change in delta as time passes. So slightly positive for SPX, still negative for SPY, and neutral for QQQ. Okay, that's the landscape for today. And one last thing I want to take a look at. This is my key gamma strike list, and I track this every day for all the stocks in my watch list. And I track the current key gamma strike, and I compare that with the previous key gamma strike. That's from yesterday, and I color code these. Red means it decreased from the previous day, and green means it increased. So yesterday you can see there was a lot of falling key gamma strikes, and then some of them have gone back to increasing today. Tesla, Microsoft, IWM, Disney, and AMD. Okay, so today there was really no point in developing a thesis with the FOMC announcement coming out in about 5 minutes now. So, otherwise I would take this as probably slightly bullish, given this increase in the key gamma strike. AMD reported results yesterday, and the market interpreted that as positive. All right, let's take a look at the S&P 500, and just want to point out a couple setups from this morning. I'm going to zoom in on this area right here, and let's go take a look at Hero. So here's ES, and this is a combined signal of SPX and SPY, so it's showing options trades for SPX and SPY into one combined signal. So the first thing is the confirmation of the move higher. So this is showing first thing in the morning, traders were taking positive delta positions as price increased, and that helps. I think that supported the move higher. Then as price increased, they started taking negative delta positions, and that confirmed the move lower. And then notice here, again, as price moves down, traders start taking positive delta positions, and then price increases later. So that was a nice divergent setup. So two confirmation setups, both higher and lower, and then the move higher around 11 a.m. And let's go back and take a look at Bookmap now. So here was the first setup, and the thing that I noticed I'm going to zoom in on this just a little bit more. Notice all of the pink dots here, and there were some sell stops shown by these small red dots, and then for the time a fairly large iceberg, and this is five transactions of iceberg orders, and price starts to move higher. Again, remember that traders were taking positive delta positions. Let's expand this a little bit. So there's the first setup long. Buy stop orders shown by the rising line, yellow line. And then the divergent setup lower, or the confirmation setup lower. And then there's the, let's zoom out. And there's the 11 a.m. setup, reversal higher at the 40-50 pivot level. And notice this short setup here and all the pink dots coming in. Okay, we've got about a minute and a half. I'm just going to hold and wait here. So let's see. Let's go back to Hero. And I'm going to change this to a shorter look back period. The reason I did this is because the Hero line had somewhat flatlined. And we'll watch what happens after the announcement. And one thing I want to point out while we're waiting on this is the remember the gamma notional has increased to more increased to positive for SPX and less negative for SPY, and I interpret that as a lack of Vanna fuel for an extended put Vanna rally. I think a lot of the rally, a lot of the expectation for the Fed has been pulled forward by this strong rally in January. Okay, and here we go. All right, so the increase was 25 basis points. And recall the 4065 to 4050 pivot level. With the idea that if price drops below the 4050 level, then volatility could increase as the rate of change of gamma increases. Get a closer look at that. So I see yellow line dropping, sell stops, and then the light blue dropping indicates that there are some large iceberg orders selling this. Large traders with iceberg orders selling this. Let's see what options traders are doing. I'm going to zoom in here and let's go back to a 10-minute look back period. So hard to tell much so far, but it looks like they're selling this, taking negative delta positions. And let's separate out puts and calls. So they're buying puts. That's shown by the falling blue line. Okay, there are a couple of comments in YouTube. Good thing it wasn't 50. Yes, I think the market was absolutely expecting 20, 25. We saw that with a 98.4% chance of a 25 basis point increase, and the market was certainly not prepared for 50. And 4DD Drover also, 4D Drover, hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Go down to the minute, it shows better, so we'll try that. Yeah, I normally don't look at Hero at such a small time frame. That's just a little bit too noisy for me. Let's change it to 5 minutes. So they started buying calls as price dropped. Now it looks like they may be starting to sell puts. So we're on it's Dave. Okay. All right, I'll remember that. All right, let's go back to Bookmap. We'll watch this for a few minutes, and then there were some good setups this morning that we can go over. Let's go back and check Hero. I'm going to go back to the total signal. So it looks like traders are taking positive delta positions, shown by the rising purple line. Going to zoom out and look at the whole day. Pretty narrow trading range for today. From about 40.60 to 40.90. And Colm, you're welcome. I don't know, there's not a lot I can provide today. I think the planning was helpful today, and then watching Hero. We'll zoom in on this again, looking more bullish now. Let's go back to Hero. Now it looks like traders are starting to fade the move again. Nope. Now Hero shifts up again. Let's go back to Bookmap. Let's just take a look at SPY, see what's going on there. And some resistance at the point of control. That's this purple line here. And the reason it's the point of control is this large volume right here that came in about 9:42. Not sure why. Might have been some large trader or traders taking position right before the data. We'll go back to ES. See what options traders are doing. And now they're fading the move. This is very typical behavior of S&P 500 options traders. So let's see what happens if price responds. Some smaller iceberg orders, sell iceberg orders. Certainly not enough to move the market. And there is some commentary in YouTube. Yeah, FOMC price moves fast. And a lot of traders do like to trade that. Trade CPI, FOMC, things like that. You just have to be fast and know what you're doing. And there's a comment in YouTube, Bookmap is much hard to learn. Yeah, it is, but once you learn how to read Bookmap, it provides so much more information than a candlestick chart. And Bookmap provides a ton of great education. And part of that is my webinar here. And I agree. Dave says, I've spent months learning Bookmap and Spotgamma, but once you get it, it's gold. Definitely. Bookmap and Spotgamma provide everything I need to know to trade. Let's go back and see what options traders are doing. So still fading the move. Buying puts, selling calls. And just so everybody's clear, the white line here is price, and the purple line is combined options trades for SPY and SPX. And it's going to be mostly SPY. So still waiting to see if price responds to these options trades. Let's go back to Bookmap. So price is right at this 40.65 pivot level. Looks like it's trying to go lower. And there's not much clarity from order flow really. The stops and icebergs, these numbers are very small. Stop orders, sell stops, it's a buy iceberg, or sell stops, double digits, very small. A lot of pink dots coming in there. Notice price made a series of lower highs. And recall from this morning, this reversal lower right here, and how volatility increased, price got going, all the pink dots there, all the aggressive market sell orders, and then some larger stops fueling that move lower. We can see here by the larger number of stop orders. All right, let's go back and look at Hero. So options traders definitely gave us a leading clue here as to this move lower, and we don't know how long it'll last. So this combined with, watching hedging flow, giving us a leading indicator, options traders fading that move, and then looking at Bookmap, watching the order flow, series of lower highs, series of tests of this 4065 pivot level, and then price finally breaks lower. Now that might only be a scalp, but I would certainly look at the 4050 level as a potential target. But it does look like some buy iceberg orders coming here, small, coming in at this 4070 level. And there's a question in YouTube, which is the best data feed for Bookmap? And I use Rhythmic for futures. That's available in the Bookmap marketplace. And I just use the CME package, which includes ES, NQ, currencies like the euro, the pound, and it may include RTY too. I'm not sure. I just have ES, and I'm primarily interested in ES, and that's what I trade. I have NQ as well, but so that's for futures. And the advantage of Rhythmic is it provides MBO data, market by order data, and that is that's required for these stops and icebergs, these indicators, which are just invaluable for trading. So that's for futures, Rhythmic data. And for stocks, I use DX feed. And I've used this for a long time. It's very stable, very reliable. So that's what I use, and most traders that I know, Bookmap traders, this is what they use. DX feed for stocks and Rhythmic data for futures. All right, so let's see if options traders have turned this around. And yeah, they did. So more of a confirmation there, not much of a lead effect. Like this short setup at the 4065 level. Maybe a slight divergence here, but not much. Let's go back to Bookmap. Let's go back and look at Hero. So now options traders are fading that move again. No lead, just a confirmation. And I've got about 5 minutes left. I'm going to take a look at a couple of other setups this morning. So first, here was AMD. And I'm on a 5-minute look back period. Let's change to 1 day. So there was a good strong setup this morning. Traders buying calls after the earnings. You can see that by the rising orange line. Let's go take a look at Bookmap. Go to AMD. Strong rally. Notice all the green dots here this morning up past the 80 call wall, which did increase from yesterday. Remember that AMD was one of the green numbers in the key gamma strike list. And AMD continues to rise. Not much reaction to the FOMC announcement. And in YouTube, Roomba asks, you need Rhythmic for MBO, no other data feed works for MBO. That's correct. If you want to use the stops and icebergs indicator in Bookmap, you need Rhythmic data, which is the only data provider that I know of that provides MBO data. And that MBO data, market by order data, comes directly from CME. But again, Rhythmic is the only data provider that is providing that data. And also we can take a look at NVIDIA. Which is also up today in sympathy with AMD. And not a whole lot of reaction to the FOMC. Continues to rise. And interesting to note, all the pink dots coming in. Starting about here. Let's just take a look at the cumulative volume delta. Moving lower all day. Let's take a look at Hero. First of all, notice the strong Hero signal here for AMD. Kind of a medium signal, Hero signal for NVIDIA. Traders are buying calls. Notice the rising orange line shown here in the morning. And let's go back and we'll wrap it up with ES again. Go back to our 5-minute look back period. Zoom in. And we'll go back to Bookmap. And Roomba asked, but you are limited to only futures with rhythmic. And yes, that is correct. And I don't know of any single data feed that provides both stock and futures data. So you typically need separate data feeds for futures and for stocks. And again, I'm using DX feed for stocks and rhythmic data for futures, and that's what I've been using for quite some time, and I'm happy with both of those data feeds, and I think that's what many other Bookmap traders that I know, that's what they use. So here is the S&P 500 ES futures. One thing I want to point out is, I'm jumping from screen to screen here. So now the press conference is starting. I'm jumping from screen to screen here, but normally I have two screens. Actually, I have two computers, one screen on one computer and two screens on the other. So I'm looking at either two Bookmap charts on one computer and Hero on the other chart, or Hero on one chart and something else on the other computer, and always Bookmap here on my primary screen. So again, for this presentation, I have one screen. I'm jumping back and forth, but normally I'm looking at Hero and Bookmap simultaneously, and maybe two different screens for Bookmap. So anyway, my time is up. The press conference is starting, and Viney asked, "Can we see the Spotgamma for ES?" And I have been showing that. I assume you mean Hero. That's what I've already gone over the positional analysis. So we'll take a look at one last look at Hero, and then I'll call it a day. So we're on the 5-minute rolling window. So this is pretty fresh data, and I'd say inconclusive at this point. The purple line is pointing up, so taking slightly positive delta positions here. All right, so again, my time is up, and so this is moving pretty fast, and now price has slipped below the 40-50 level. So remember, again, that chart we saw on Equity Hub of the rising Spotgamma momentum indicator as price moved below 50, but it looks like some, now the aggressive sellers have come in. There were a few buyers. The purple dots, green dots. Now the purple dots, the aggressive sellers are coming in. And again, below the 40-50 SPX 40-50 pivot line. So I'm going to wrap it up here. Call it a day. Thank you very much for your questions and comments. Thanks for watching. And we'll catch up tomorrow and we'll talk about the aftermath of the FOMC announcement. So thanks again. Have a great afternoon, and I will see you tomorrow.